All right. So this is probably the best thing that I've ever come up with. If you're going to have a startup, you need to have some kind of guideline, some kind of plan, something that is going to mentally give you a good understanding of the direction you need to go. And so this is probably the best thing. And so first of all, let's say that you're going to start up something. You're going to sell cantaloupes, barbecue, bicycles, anything, boutique shop or whatever. It all needs to go in the same direction. Every startup business needs to go in the same direction and needs to have the same understanding. So the first thing you need to understand is what is called a break-even point. Okay? And that's very simple. Let's say you take your home bills and you make let's say you make $1,000 a month and your home bills are $1,000 a month. So you are breaking even. Okay? So all of your expenses are $1,000 a month and you make $1,000 a month. That is a break-even point. You're breaking even. Okay? Very simple. You're actually going backwards, to be honest with you. If you're at the break-even point, you're still going backwards. And so the first thing you need to understand is that break-even point. And so let's say you start your business up and you understand, you've kind of figured out that your expenses are going to be so much money. So let me give you a good idea and a good understanding of the levels and goals you need to be at. And so let's say this is your break-even point and your end of the month expenses are going to be $5,000. Okay? These are your hard expenses. And so you need to grow and you need to have a next goal, right? So your first 30-day goal would be to get to your break-even point. Hopefully you get to it faster. That'd be great. And so let's say you take that number, I'm going to put 5,000 and I'm going to times it by 33%. Now that percentage number could be whatever you think it needs to be pertaining to your business. It could be smaller. It could be bigger. Okay, it could be 50%. It could be 25%. Whatever you think it needs to be, you take that number and you times it by that. And so we're going to take 5,000 times it by 33. That is going to give us 1,650. And we're going to take that 1,650, we're going to add it to 5,000, and that's going to give us 6,550. All right? So that needs to be your next sales goal number, is that right there. Whatever that needs to be. Okay, this is gross sales or net sales or however you want to figure it. Okay, that's where you need to be. You need to be $1,650 over this $5,000, which is your debt. This needs to be your profit right here. All right, this needs to be the next number that you need to get at as far as your sales go and all that. I know that sounds complicated, but trust me, you'll figure it out. It'll be, once you do it, you'll go, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And so this level right here is what is called the survive but not thrive stage. Now, what this means is that you've got to the point to where you're just barely over your break-even point. You're paying your bills, you're actually covering expenses and stuff like that. There's not enough money to reinvest, but you're covering pretty much the majority of everything. You're surviving, right? Understand it. You've been in that position before, to where you're just barely surviving. And so that is called the survive and not thrive stage. Then what you want to do is you want to take that next number, times it by 33%, and that's going to give you another number, whatever number pertains to you. And that's going to come up here, you're going to add that together, and that's going to give you this number. This number right here is going to put you into what is called the thrive stage. Okay? That means that you're making enough money, you're making enough profit, and that profit you can reinvest into the company. All right? You can add more things to it, you can pay your bills, and you actually can take yourself out to eat, you know. So your next level after you get to that is what is called the plateau. This is where everything has leveled off. Understand? Plateau, leveled off. Your sales have leveled off. You've got to a point to where you're just moving along and everything is pretty much stable and your sales are not really moving up like that. They're just kind of flattened out. Plateau. Okay. This is where you need to start to refigure what you're doing and how you're doing and where you can move forward. Now, this brings me to this, and in business, there's this thing that I call a staple, your staple product. It is the product that you sell more of than anything else. All right, and I always like to use the example of Campbell's soup. What's the main #1 selling thing that Campbell's soup sells? Chicken noodle, right? Wouldn't you think that out of the sales of chicken noodle, out of the profit out of all their chicken noodle soup sales, that it would pretty much pay for just about all of the overhead and expenses in that whole corporation? Okay, that's a big deal, because you need to understand that, because you want to think about having a staple product that pretty much pays for all of your expenses. Okay, and if it's not one product, maybe it could be 2 or 3 or 4, but you need to have some kind of staple product. It is so important that you understand that, because you really need that one thing or 2 or 3 to make sure that the profit off of that is going to pay for your expenses. That is the best advice you'll ever get right there. That is awesome. Because if you start thinking in that way, you will think that, okay, so I got a coffee shop and I'm selling this coffee more than I'm selling anything else. Let's say if I sell this coffee, let's say I made a 4-pack. And out of that 4-pack of coffee, I gave the 4th one away for free. Would that increase my sales? Would that increase the staple of this sale? Because everybody likes it, maybe I can push more of it out. Whatever you need to do, you need to think about that business staple, that one product that sells more than anything else. That is so important. Now, when you start up your business, there's this thing called, what I call a momentum line. And you need to think about that. And you've seen businesses that when they open the doors, there's lines down the street. You know, they're just, oh man, they're just right off the bat. And then what happens, actually, they go up this way, and then they kind of level off, and then it kind of goes down, and then it kind of just levels out or plateaus out. But you need to think about your momentum line. What are you going to do? What's your staple going to be? How are you going to keep this momentum line going this way? And listen, your momentum line needs to get you all the way to your plateau. All the way to your plateau and whatever timeline you have. Now, advertising, whatever it is, whatever you need to do for you to make sure that this momentum line gets you to your plateau. Okay? So, now there's another thing in business, and it's called a learning curve. And this learning curve is 2 things. It's 1, you learning the business that you're in. 2 is you learning business in itself. That's you learning to be a business person. Because you cannot, trust me, I've seen this God knows how many times, you cannot take an employee and turn them into a business person. Just like that. You can't. If you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you will know about the 4 quadrants. You know, you go from employee, self-employed, business owner, to investor. And between those quadrants, there is a learning curve that has to happen. You just don't go from being an employee straight to a business owner without having a huge learning curve. Now, in that learning curve, you are going to have what is called failure. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are going to fail. And if you do, that's fine. No big deal. Every business book in the world says, if you fail, that's the greatest lesson you'll ever learn. Never be ashamed that you fail. I've seen so many people, and you have to, that have started something and failed, and then they have this little herd mentality thing of that, oh, they feel so bad, and then they're embarrassed, and blah, blah, blah. Don't be. At least you got out and did something. That's a hell of a lot better than the rest of the little clones that are out there, the little sheeple that are out there that are never going to do nothing because they're too scared. Don't be too scared. Don't ever be that person. And so, as this learning curve goes, it's a duality thing. It's going to be you learning the business and you learning business in itself. And you are going to have spots in this business that are going to slow you down because you're going to make a mistake here, you're going to make a mistake there. Something's going to happen that's going to slow you down. I have this rule in business. And this rule is, this is the most important rule that you'll ever have. You do what the business tells you to do. You do what the business tells you to do. Okay? How many businesses have you seen that have failed because the owner wanted to do what they wanted to do, not because of what the business wanted them to do? Big difference. You will never, ever, ever unlearn what I just told you there. That is the best thing you'll ever hear. So, now, you need to think about your business and your startup, and you need to think about the months that you're going to go through. So, month 1, you've got 30 days, all right? You know, whatever that month is, 29, 31, whatever. But 30 days, and right here at the end of that first month, you're going to have bills come due. Power bill, water bill, employees, everything else. You're going to have bills that come due. And you're going to have to pay these bills, and I guarantee you, you're going to pay them with borrowed money. You need to account for that. Don't think that you're going to, just in the first 30 days, you're going to bust this break-even point, the survive but not thrive, or the thrives. Don't think that you're going to bust that open in 30 days. If you do, great. You're doing awesome. If you do that, what happens is, I've seen a lot of times, like we talked about the cupcake business, it just went like this and come down. You're going to see that, and they're going to bust this wide open, and then they're going to come back down, and they're going to end up about right here somewhere. Okay? And so anyway, you're going to end up paying that with borrowed money. That is what is called a compound negative. Okay? You see that? Compound negative. So you're compounding your interest because you just took borrowed money to start a business, and then you took that borrowed money that is bearing interest and had to use it to pay bills with. That is a compound negative or a double negative. Either way you want to call it, it's still bad. Compound or double. Anyway, so you need to understand that when you go get your investment capital, that this first month, probably the next month, and probably the next month, you're going to have to pay those expenses with borrowed money. That is very, very, very important, because I've seen a lot of people get to this point and they go, I'm going to run out of money. Yes, you're going to run out of money. Here's another rule. If you think it's going to cost you 50, get 100. If it's going to cost you 50 grand, you need to get 100. And to be honest with you, you need to have access to another 50 if you have to have it. So I will give you the best tip that you will ever hear. If you push your sales through the roof, okay? If you're good enough to push your sales through the roof, you follow this momentum line and you're going there, and you get to this point right here, and because see, you're still up here, you're still paying your bills with borrowed money, whether you like it or not. You just now got here. This is a very short timeline. 90 days is a short timeline. You're still behind. You're still paying your bills with borrowed money, whether you like it or not. If it's not all borrowed money, it's some. But if you push these sales up, for those of you that don't go get enough capital, if you push these sales up and you take this and your books to the banker and you go, look, I have sold more than I can keep up with. It keeps growing and growing. I need more investment capital. And their eyes will bug out of their head and they'll go, man, you're doing so great, blah, 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 blah. You know, and they'll be more than likely to let you borrow more money based on your sales and things like that. Unsecured debt, right? Unsecured debt. You can get unsecured debt. But if you show them that you just stopped right here and you're just going to take that slow track, you know, we're just going to slow down and we're going to try to grow organically. Don't ever do that. Don't be the person that grows organically. The numbers are always against you. The negatives are always against you. Borrow money and push your business up if you can do that. Now, when you go to the bank and they see that, they're going to be more than likely to give you the money you need because you're going to run out of it very fast. Like I said, if you think it's 50, get 100. Now, there's this thing that I call the 90-day negative rule. And this is an absolute fact. It is a Murphy's Law. It is going to happen. Something is going to show its head. Something's going to pop up and bite you in the ass, and it's going to cost you money. Something's going to happen. Your transmission's going to go out in your car. You know, aliens are going to come down and abduct all your employees. Something's going to happen. Something is going to happen that's going to cost you money. And I call it the 90-day negative rule. It is going to happen. You need to think about this when you're doing your investment capital. You need to really add that in there somewhere because something's going to cost you money. And the problem is that you're not going to know what that's going to be. You're not going to have a clue. So now, another thing you need to understand, and this is what I've learned over the years, you know, I've been in business for myself on and off from this and that. I don't know how long, 30, 25, something. I don't know, 30 maybe. But, you know, I did some little stuff, you know, I kind of, it's been a long time. So, but one thing I know factually is that a learning curve, your learning curve from going from employee to self-employed to business owner is about 2 years. That is pretty much the average of the learning curve of pretty much everybody out there that goes from one quadrant to the next is going to be about 2 years. All right. It might be a little bit shorter if you have a good mentor or something like that, that is in the business that you're in, someone that can guide you and help you move you along faster, and that can be shortened up. But it's usually going to be about 2 years. So you need to understand that if you're coming from employee to self-employed and going to business owner, your learning curve is going to be about 2 years in between those things. You need to understand that. And another thing you need to understand is you need to read a ton of books. A ton of books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, of course, is the main one. All right, so I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something here. I know that I am. The numbers are not set in stone. You know, you can go, is that revenue? Is that net? Is that this? Is it that? Doesn't matter. It's a good guide stone. Figure it out the way that suits your business the best. And you will find out and you will understand that this is probably the best little diagram that you can have inside your head and on a piece of paper from when you start up whatever business it is that you want to start up. And this information is golden. This is years and years and years of personal experience. Okay? So anyway, thank you for listening. This is great. Get out there and be somebody. You know, might as well start today. Thank you.